brand new music out from our buddy Kit Moore. We're excited about this one. You are safe in Kentucky where you've been for a while. How's everything up there?
Everything's good. I mean, this place is literally out in the middle of nowhere. I wish I could show you my view, but I'm surrounded by, the mountains, nothing but trees outside right now. I don't see any houses anywhere. I've been completely insulated from this whole thing. I haven't been into town like I haven't 2.5 months, and I've gone literally, I'm either at my lodge or I'm on a cliff rock climbing. One of the two things. I'm not, and the drive to the places where I climb, you don't see another soul. I mean, it's all back roads, and I'm yeah, I don't even know what's going on in the real world right now, you know, because this is my
You
real
don't,
world, and this place never
you don't
changes,
even know.
regardless of a pandemic. It's always the same here.
See, that's so nice. It is nice to have an escape in a place like that. And, I can understand being isolated, being alone. You said you really kind of dig that. I know you well enough to know that that is your personality. You're an extrovert when you're on stage, but you're an introvert when you're not.
Yeah, I think I'm an introvert that's forced to be an extrovert. Uh, yeah, so being isolated doesn't feel like anything new to me personally. I take a lot of trips by myself. I travel around and surf by myself all the time, and um, you know, um, I just wake up every morning here early, and I have coffee and I work on songs. I write lyrics, and then I go rock climb for a while. I get a workout in at nighttime. Um, yeah, I mean, everything just kind of repeats in that sense. So, um, yeah, I'm aware of the heaviness of the situation, but me personally, um, this doesn't feel that abnormal for me. I'm pretty much always solo. So,
This is, I like the fact that you've perfected it because now you're super comfortable with it. You can tell the people that aren't, the people that
yeah,
want to be around other humans are now coming up with different distractions. I've learned how to make bread from scratch, things I would never have done before. So I get it. I totally get that. I want to dive into Wild World. This album, wow. Okay, so where do I start? Okay, here's where I'm going to start with this. I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and we'd both listened to it. And I said, it seems like you have really gotten so comfortable with who you are that each one of your albums leading up to this one, you have peeled back a different layer so that we get to see a little bit more of who you really are. And this one just feels like it's you 100% through. Where were you at mentally when you were writing these songs?
I think that I think I was digging up a lot of bones. Um, I think that I think that we naturally suppress a lot of things that we don't want to confront. Um, and I think for me, there was a lot of a search to try to find that place to let things go, to forgive myself in certain things. Pain Hard was the hardest song I've ever written. I spent hours trying to get through it without breaking down. I've carried that weight for a long time, that regret for a long time. Most personal song I've ever written. And it just happened to finally fall out that morning. And I think it was from all the reflection that I've been doing. And, that was my way of trying to let it go. And I think there's a lot of that on this record. I think there's a lot of, um, with songs like Fire and Flame, learning to understand my ways, but still be confused by them. Knowing my yearning for my own faith and to be connected to that, but yet always pushing it to the side. But I really am only happy when I'm really connected to it. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of very personal things on this record like that.
Which of these songs, obviously Paying Hard, you said is the most personal one that you've ever written, but which one of these songs was a surprise to you?
Janie Blue. The record was done. And I literally, I write songs in pieces, and a lot of times, like, I'll have a chorus or I'll have a verse or I'll have an idea, and then you get together with one of your songwriting buddies and you finish it. And Janie Blue was one of those things where I felt the whole song coming on to me in one stream of consciousness. So I hit my recorder the way I always do, thinking that maybe only like a verse or something was going to fall out. But once I got started, just sang the whole song from top to bottom pretty much. At like 1 o'clock in the morning, it just kind of came to me. So that was a definite shock, but it was definitely something I was feeling and something that I was specifically thinking about. And then it just kind of came all in a 3.5-minute section. And then I flew home from Costa Rica to record it in time to put on this record.
So let's go a little bit deeper, because I'm reading all the stuff that's out there now, all these things that you've done. And there's this incredible article that they wrote, I think it was Esquire, that talked about how you said that you kind of spiritually bottomed out. Tell me what that even means, and what was happening at that time.
Well, I think that I'm always, I think that I've learned that I have a sensitive soul. I'm not a sensitive person. I have a sensitive soul. So I feel a lot, good and bad, big and small. And I think for me, being an introvert that's kind of forced to be an extrovert every day, it takes a lot out of me. And I've neglected a lot of things that I deem very important. I've neglected relationships. I've neglected my own faith. I've put everything on the back burner, knowing that my dad was sick and not spending enough time with him before he passed. There's so many things that I have all these regretful things, I've, there's so many lines in Paying Hard that kind of sum the whole thing up. But I think for me, it's just that recognition of I'm not giving enough time to the things that mean a lot to me, and I'm kind of putting all my chips in one area, and I need to disperse those chips a little better. And I think that it's just I've always been in search for what God and faith looks like to me, and I think that'll be the backbone of the centerpiece of my life for my whole life. And I think that I'm always going to be trying to search for what that looks like to me. So I don't think it'll be the first spiritual bottoming out for somebody like me, but I think that I like that I can at least get to those places and then try to build back up.
At what point in your career did you feel like that you really wanted to make a stand and do your music your way? Because I distinctly remember, I think the first time I ever met you, Kip, we were, like at a car dealership or something. I don't remember exactly where it was, but you were there. It was new. It was in Nashville, and they were introducing you to all of us, and watching from where that started to where you are today, there's definitely somewhere along the way where you said, enough of the BS that you want me to be, I'm going to be me. When did that happen?
Well, I think that if you listen to the nuts and bolts of that first record, it's still there. If you listen to Crazy one more time, still one of my favorite things that I've ever written. If you listen to Everything But You listen to Faith When I Fall. The backbone of what I do was still there, but I definitely felt that maybe pressure a little bit more for the commercial success early on. But I think that's just part of growth and understanding. I think that Wild Ones gave me that freedom that I needed. It wasn't near as commercially successful as the first record, but I did Wild Ones the exact way that I wanted to do it. And a lot of my rock and roll influences kind of bled through that record and set things the way I wanted to. And watching the way the fan base rallied around that record, it's still, you know, maybe this one will overtake that. But when you talk to the real fans that actually have the full length records, 90% of the time, that's their favorite record, is the Wild Ones record. So that kind of gave me that sense of, all right, if I want to make something lasting, I got to keep sticking to that thing of whatever I'm feeling in that moment, staying true and authentic to it. And every record has changed a little bit. So it's not like I'm still doing the Wild Ones record, but it's that recognition of just be authentic to how you feel in that moment, and don't be afraid to chase those sounds, because the fans will come with you.
How scary was that the first time?
Oh, I mean, it was, you know, the thing is there's a whole record that got shelved before the Wild Ones record came about. So that was a difficult time in my life. That was that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I could say that I just am going to be quiet on right now. But yeah, I mean, it was an uncomfortable feeling. It was a hard time to deal with. But you know, I'm on the other side of it, and here I am on the fourth record that I think is going to be that's going to be something special for these fans.
Talk to me a little bit about Southpaw, because listening to that brought about so much fun imagery, and the meaning behind it is much deeper when you're listening to the lyrics, but then also just like this whole outlaw movie is playing through my head when I'm listening to it. So where were you at when that was
Yeah,
happening?
the fun nature of the song comes in the recording. There's so much percussive movement happening, and I try to do that with a lot of this record. Paying Hard's got so much percussive movement happening. Sweet Virginia does. Uh, but for me personally, that was waking up being, I was in South Dakota, and I woke up and I was looking at the news on TV, and I looked at some on my phone, and I was like, I'm so sick of this shit. I'm so sick of the divisiveness. I feel like we got children that are up top running all of us, and we're all puppeteers that just, you know, all the pointing the fingers back and forth. And I mean, you would think that this far into, you know, us being a civilization, that we would learn how to do things right, and then I always be like, okay, well, the minute this party's done, we're going to tear down all their ideas, and then we're going to get this party back in there, then we're going to tear down all their ideas. You would think that we would figure out how to make something run by now, you know. So it's amazing that we're still here, and we're just still having all this bickering and fighting and agendas with things like, Medicare and stuff. And it's like, how have we not figured out how to do this thing properly by now? And it's just, there's so much nastiness. And then when I think about society, every time you turn around, somebody's protesting about something. We didn't like the way our jelly came in the freaking store, so we're going to go out and protest, about jelly. The next, I don't even know why I just said jelly, but I feel like that's how we've gotten. So it's like, I feel like we've gotten so soft. And I go and I travel around to all these places around the world, and I see the way these people are living in these third world countries. And I go in their houses and their garages, and I eat with them. And there's just a fascinating group of happy people that have nothing. And I come back home, and man, are we just a bunch of prima donnas. And it just sometimes makes me sick. And I feel like I was born in the wrong era sometimes. And I've always felt like an outsider with the way people think. But that song came about from that angst and that anger, feeling that way. And Southpaw, I was a boxing fan growing up, and they were always very rare. You didn't see Southpaws, and they were unpredictable. You didn't know how to prepare for them. And so the whole song was just a metaphor for feeling different in a modern world. So that's just, I kind of went off on a tangent there about jelly. I don't know where jelly came from, but I feel like that'll be the next thing we're protesting about, is our jelly's not right in the store. But I go around and I listen to people, and it's just, it makes me angry that we're not a little more tough than we should be.
Okay, I want to come back to the music, but since you talked about food, not necessarily jelly, I saw that your name was mentioned with, was it Eat Well Nashville, that you guys kind of came together and you guys are helping spread meals throughout Nashville?
Yeah, they're a great company. I've been getting meals from them personally for a while. And I just called them up and just was like, what can we do? There's a lot of kids right now that were relying on school lunches that don't have that now. And they might not have a meal all day. So how do we fix that? So, yeah, I just donated some money, and they gave me a great deal, and we were able to provide, probably around 4,000 meals to local kids. And Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'll do that nobody ever sees, and that's just one of the things that got out, you know.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's making a big difference. Let's talk about Wild World. Obviously, the title track, the very first line struck me that your mom is giving you advice. Is that from something that really happened, or is it just kind of
And she gave lots of advice. She was long-winded. My dad was more like short form. My mom was long form. My dad would give you a one-liner. You got to know when to draw a line in the sand. Remember that one. Um, so his one-liners held a lot of weight. My mom, she could go, but you had to just pull out the little gems and nuggets that were in that long-winded form, and she'd have some. But they were both great about doing life my way. I definitely didn't have those overbearing parents that tried to tell you how to live what life, and why are you not married by a certain age? Why don't you have kids by a certain age? They were never that way. They were like, do life your way, figure it out. But along the way, I'm going to tell you that, these are going to be little things that pop up, and make sure you keep yourself rooted in the simplicity and the things that bring you pure joy.
what's the one thing that brings you the most joy?
Um, Simplicity, not wanting things. We're in a very thing driven, society, and that's constantly pressed on us all the time, is have more and be more, and that's more success. And, you know, I have, as far as what success means to most people, as far as, I have gained that, but, I personally see success as someone, doing something that they love to do, whether that's making them a lot of money or not, but having happiness in their own life. And, to me, I have that part. But with the finances that have changed, I don't live my life any different. I'm not seeking other things to make me happy. I might travel a little more than I was used to be capable of doing, but that's still to gain experience. So for me, when I keep things simple, that's when I find happiness.
Do you have a mullet right now?
Oh, 100% full blown. I'm not ashamed of it one bit.
I'm looking and I'm like, that looks
Yeah.
really long.
Yeah, it's I've had it pulled back in a daggone bun for the last probably 2 weeks. But I had it yesterday, the whole day during interviews. People get on and be like, "You have a man bun right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And today I was like, you know what? I don't feel like hearing that all day, so I'm gonna throw in a hat. So yeah, I mean, I have not cut my hair in, I don't know, maybe 5 months. So I mean, I wouldn't have had this if we weren't under quarantine, but I'm a little worried to let PJ cut my hair right now.
I tried to do some home haircuts here. Don't do it. Just let it grow. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Okay, last thing that I want to talk to you about. Last time I actually saw you, we were at the Caverns. You were doing the show at the Caverns, which was insane. I mean, that place is just phenomenal on its own right, but then you there with all of your fans singing every word to every song, no matter how deep the cut. It was incredible. So, what are some of your favorite places, and what are those moments like? Did that feel special to you? I mean, it felt special to the rest of us.
Yeah, that definitely felt special. Um, I've had a lot of special moments. Australia shows have always been incredible for me. Belfast this past year was just pure magic. Probably the most magical musical experience I've ever had. I cannot wait to get back to Belfast and play this new record. They won over my whole band. We can't wait. Like we're itching to get back there.
So good, man. Well, listen, we're glad that you're well. We love this album. It's so, so good. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Take care.